I found this, well, I mean, it's plastic. I was afraid of offending the craftsmanship behind this work, but I found it for £3 at a charity shop. I don't know if you can see that. It says adventure. Isn't that fun? I saw this immediately. Inspiration struck me. And I thought I should make this into a My Little Pony character, because I think a photorealistic My Little Pony character is really funny. So I asked my friends, and the first one came back with Fluttershy, so that's what I'm doing. To take you through my plan for this Fluttershy custom, I made a rough little sketch of what I want it to look like. Of course, we have the classic Fluttershy look with her long, flowy mane, but I just added a little more spice. She's got droopy eyes, some feathering around her hooves, lots of little curls, but most of all, I wanted it to look like she's in a little diorama, like we sort of cut her out of the landscape where she's hanging out outside of her cottage with some animals. I kind of left it a bit rough, so I have some space to play and sort of like change around my idea a bit, but yeah, that's what we're going with. Okay. So, I'm inside now. For this little horsey, I am going to experiment with some epoxy putty. Don't scan that. This isn't sponsored. If you want me to give you good credit, then sponsor me. Maybe I shouldn't even be showing the branding of this. This is by some no-name 2-part epoxy putty company, but I want to experiment with this because I've been sculpting with air dry clay, and I don't think it's going to properly hold on to a plastic figurine. So why not give it a go, you know? Why not give it a try? It is, after all, an adventure. As much as I love the little adventure plaque, we're sculpting over this, so we gotta remove it and clean it up with some acetone. If you've never used epoxy putty like I have at this time of filming, it's super easy to prep. You just gotta mix equal parts of part A and part B, and just sort of smush them all together until you get a mixture that is smooth with a consistent color and like no streaks. So something like this. I wanted to start with something easy because I've never played around with epoxy putty before, so I decided to work on Fluttershy's hoof feathering. So essentially what I did was like roll these little sausages of epoxy putty, and I just started attaching them on. Please ignore how much I'm dropping this in the clip. Then I started doing that all over her hooves, and started attaching pieces of clay here and there, just so that the clay for the mane and the tail has something to attach to. As for Fluttershy's Pegasus wings, I sculpted a prototype with air dry clay because I did not trust myself to get this right with epoxy putty that cures in a couple of hours. So I essentially used that as a stencil and sculpted a copy of it in epoxy putty. I then attached it onto the horse figurine, and I think that they turned out pretty cute. They look kind of cartoony and not very realistic, but I don't know, I think that adds to the charm of it. At this point, I also attached some wires to the mane and the tail with some clay and some super glue, just to make a sort of base for all the clay to attach to. So I didn't film this because I'm stupid. I essentially did the same thing with hoof feathering and basically just attached it to the mane and tail. But to get those to stay there, you have to sort of let them cure for a little bit so that they can hold their shape, and that led to a lot of cracks. But it's nothing a little bit of clay can't fix, you know? Who's gonna know? You're not gonna tell anyone. You can keep a secret, right? Anyways, while I'm using tiny amounts of clay to fill in the holes, I made little anemone flowers for Fluttershy and little leaves, just so that she can look a little bit more naturey. I really want her to live her 2013 Tumblerina flower crown life. I think right now, in this moment in time, I'm very proud of what I've done. But that leads us on to, now that Fluttershy's done, I want to do something with the base. And I do have some guys that I think I'm not going to glue down because I think I would rather have the posability of just putting some little animals, little friends around her, and then switch it out as I please. For the base, I do want something to be sort of like built up behind her. I tried to come up with like a little plan for this, but I think honestly, I think it'd be silly if I just winged it, wung it. I digress. Anyways, I am going to put on my gloves and see what I can do. So to kind of match the cartoony semi-realism vibe I'm going for, I decided to add a little tree stump because I feel like it adds to sort of making her base look a little bit more like a diorama. But also it becomes a little stage for all of the animals that I am planning to put next to her. So I sort of added some roots on here and I sort of made it natural, if that makes sense. It's got roots, it's got a little bit of shape to it. But yeah, it becomes a little stage for an animal to hang out with Fluttershy. And then it ended up like this. I think it's going pretty well so far. I'm very pleased with how it's going. But obviously she is nowhere near done yet. So I had way more to do on the diorama, but I couldn't help but start painting. I'm impatient, I am impulsive, and and I don't ever do these projects in little stages when I should do them. I kind of go back and forth here and there, which probably isn't the best structure for YouTube videos, but it's kind of just the way I create, so whatever. And after she's got a few coats of that, I add her pale yellow coat. I also started adding base colors for her mane and her tail. I think this is such a good shade of I'm not painting this so neatly. This is not satisfying to watch. I also added a little bit of brown on the hoofs. I didn't really want to paint it straight black, even though I know a lot of horse hooves are like gray and black, because she's a pink and yellow pony. I started to add a little bit of highlights where the sort of just add a little bit more contrast. If you can see the very small difference between these two hooves, where I did one with and then one without. This is my dog, Frank. I say my dog. She's my girlfriend's parents' dog, but he's my little craft buddy. He was sat next to me watching me paint this whole time when I was making Fluttershy, and he looks so look at him. He looks so interested in what I'm doing. Isn't he so cute? Anyway, after all that, I ended up with this sort of base colors already done, and I think it's starting to come along pretty well. But at this point, you know, the diorama wasn't finished, and it did feel like she was missing something. Something important. something that we took away from her right at the start of the build, and I want to undo that. That's right, we're going back in time to put adventure back on the menu. Ta-da! While we're at it, I also added some mushrooms you can see in the background, and I made, using the same sort of like rolling sausage technique, I added a bunch of vines onto the base, and I feel like it works pretty well because it sort of frames it. I also made a bazillion tiny little leaves that I will individually paint and stick onto the diorama. Don't know if that was the smartest move, it's the move I did. Now that I fixed my grave error, I can move on with my life and this paint job. I wanted to make the sides look like little, like, you know how Animal Crossing has like the grass on the side of cliffs, or Minecraft has the like little grass ledge on a grass block? I wanted it to look like that, like we actually cut the ground out. I think adding details was probably my favorite part of this build. It's just, I spent so long making this and painting every single detail. It's just tying everything together. Painting the eye was kind of hard. It's very small and I'm not used to painting on such a small scale, but I feel like I did alright. I did pretty good. I really liked this project. I feel like I really experienced the learning curve of epoxy putty, but I kinda loved working with it. It's so much stronger than air dry clay and it really adheres to plastics well. I really want to start doing more custom figurines, maybe something a little bit more serious than semi-realistic Fluttershy, and I already have some in the works. I don't think I have anything serious in the works, because I'm silly. But let me know if you would like to see more. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, tell someone you love them. Tell someone you love them. Okay, bye!